The Ocean Between Us. Chapter 4. Leviathan Rising. The Sea Will Not Sleep Again. Episode 1. The Hollow Hour. The world changed, but no one noticed. Not truly. The missiles were gone, dissolved in midair by a harmony not heard by human ears. And yet the tension that rippled through nations wasn't relief, it was unease. As if the heavens had been challenged, and in sparing the world, the sea demanded a debt it had not yet named. Kale stood alone on the rusted deck of the hollow star. Waves lapped gently, hiding the wrath that had passed. Above, stars blinked in uncertain patterns. Beside him, a broken console played Alara's final recorded breath over and over. He clutched it like scripture. Not because he was lost, but because she had become more than a woman. She had become a prayer answered at terrible cost. Beneath him, in the hollowed belly of the ship, Riken muttered into dreamless sleep, his body marked by frost-like patterns across his skin, the sea's imprint. Dr. Lind had ceased speaking days ago, her notes unreadable, scrawled in looping symbols no language could claim. Kale had only one compass now, the pulse in his chest that quickened whenever he whispered Alara's name. He was going back down. Episode 2. Descent into Myth. They left behind the world's noise. No pings, no commands, just the whispering of the abyss as Kale's vessel sank deeper than any living thing dared. The trench had changed. No longer a geological wound. It now pulsed with memory. Lights danced in the darkness. Shapes moved along impossible angles. The hollow star creaked like it feared what lay ahead. Kale didn't flinch. As they descended, his thoughts returned to Alara, not as a memory, but as a presence. She wasn't gone. She was there, just out of reach, like a shoreline glimpsed through fog. Lind, trembling, joined him at the viewport. "Do you hear it?" she asked. "I always hear her," Kale said. Then, the ruin came into view. But it had changed. The once quiet temple of stone and coral had grown. It pulsed now, alive, aware. A tower had risen from its center, spiral like DNA, wrapped in streaming banners of kelp-like energy. Kale stepped forward. "Alara," he whispered. And the tower answered. Episode 3. The Tower of Echoes. The sea parted. Literally. Like a stage set by some cosmic architect, a corridor formed, glowing walls rising to shelter them. The water thinned, no longer heavy. Sound returned, not sonar pings, but voices, memories, songs. Kale walked forward, not drowning, not afraid. Inside the tower, he saw fragments. Alara's laughter as a child beside her mother, her first command assignment, her trembling hand reaching for his after their first battle, her kiss under flickering red lights. And then, her final transformation. She stood before the Leviathan, arms outstretched, singing a frequency that made time bend. She didn't burn. She didn't break. She became. Kale fell to his knees. "Alara." A voice answered, not hers, but a composite, as though the ocean itself had borrowed her timbre. "She is not dead. She is with the sea. But her soul is fractured. Anchored by love. By you." Kale stood. "Then I'll bring her back." The voice pulsed. "To bring her back, you must understand what she's become." Episode 4. The Leviathan Sleeps. Beneath the tower lay a crypt. Or a nursery. It was hard to tell. Kale descended into it, past spirals of floating stone and runes that pulsed with living color. And there, curled like a sleeping god, lay the Leviathan. Its wound still bled black light into the sea. Around it swam smaller beings. Guardians of old. The choir's fragments. Creatures that had once sung with stars and shaped currents with thought. Kale approached. The Leviathan did not stir. But it dreamed. And in its dream, Kale saw Alara. Caught between tides, her body adrift, her soul tethered to an ancient machine built long before mankind rose from mud. She was singing to hold it back. To stop something older than the Leviathan. Something that had been woken. Kale turned to Lind, who now wept silently. She's holding the gate, Kale said. But it's not enough. She's breaking. And he knew what he had to do. Episode 5. The Gate of Stone. The gate wasn't physical. It was layered thought, built by the choir eons ago to contain what they called the Maw. A being, a place, the stories blurred. It had slumbered for millennia beneath Trench 9. But humanity's wars, weapons, and nuclear detonations had cracked the final seal. Alara had stepped in. Now her soul hovered at the edge of unraveling, torn between the sea's song and the pull of the Maw. Kale pressed his palm to the gate. He didn't have the choir's voice. He didn't have Alara's gift. But he had love, pure, unyielding. And he sang. Not well, not beautifully. But honestly. The sea listened. Episode 6. Reunion in the Dark. The moment Kale's voice touched the gate, something shifted. The tower shook, the water churned. And then, she appeared. Alara. Not as before. Her body flickered like starlight through waves. Her eyes glowed with deep-sea fire. But she smiled. Kale. He reached for her, their fingers brushed. Sparks flew, not metaphor, but energy, rewriting the water around them. You came. I always will. She pulled him into the song. Memories flooded them both. Shared joy, shared fear, every touch and silence and breath. And in the center of that storm, Alara whispered. I can't hold it alone anymore. You don't have to. Episode 7. Rise of the Second Choir. Alara returned to her body. Kale, now linked to her through the song, helped stabilize the Leviathan's wound using energy drawn from the tower. Together, they sang a new harmony. And the sea responded. Choir fragments across the globe awoke. Deepkin emerged from crevices, sirens from coral forests, echo sharks and jelly beasts, all joining the call. A second choir rose. Not to rule. To heal. Humanity had poisoned the sea, forgotten its gods, but now, it had been given a second chance. And the sea had chosen its ambassadors. Alara and Kale. Episode 8. The Maw Awakens. But the Maw had heard the song. And it was hungry. From the edge of reality, it tore through the gate, shadows and teeth and eyes that defied number. It was not alive, it was memory given hunger. The Leviathan, still weak, roared. The sea darkened. Alara turned to Kale. This is our last stand. He nodded. Then let's make it beautiful. Together, they led the choir into the Maw's storm. Episode 9. The Ocean Bleeds Light. The battle was not of flesh, but of will. The sea boiled with color. The Maw lashed out, turning choir members to salt, warping reefs into spirals of bone. But Alara sang. And Kale amplified her. Their love became a beacon, reminding the sea of peace, of beauty, of life beyond survival. The Leviathan rose one last time, wrapping its body around the Maw and dragging it into a spiral of collapsing space. The gate sealed. And the sea went still. Episode 10. Leviathan Rising. They were gone for 3 days. When they returned, rising from the sea in a cocoon of glowing coral, the world held its breath. Alara and Kale stood on the surface, hand in hand, light dancing across their skin. They had become more than human. But their eyes held humanity still. And they spoke not in threat, but in promise. The sea is awake. The balance is restored. You have been forgiven. Don't make us regret it. The Leviathan breached one last time behind them, singing into the stars. And the world listened. End of chapter 4. Leviathan Rising.